We are back on Flav and Ish.
Yo.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we just solved public banking in the 21st century.
I think I was saying one last thing was
Oh.
Ultimately what it comes down to for me, and I understand forgiveness and I'm not a jerk. People sign contracts and they read the fine print. Like they know what they're getting into when they choose to get into these situations. You know when you sign the contract that you're signing something that sucks. You just don't have to sign it.
Okay.
I'm actually in between the two of you. I was actually, as I just told Flavia, I was opining myself until I didn't even realize that our session got cut off. So I was just like opining into the void. But basically, I'm in between the two of you. I do have a lot of issues with the way, I do have a lot of issues with the way that the banks runs, particularly as it pertains to predatory lending. I'm not really a fan of ATM fees, which is why I avoid withdrawing money from any bank that I don't have an account with. So I really do think that, yeah, I do have a lot of problems with the banks in that way, as I mentioned. But on the other hand, I also feel like if you are in a position where you are frequently in overdraft, I think that it may be time to reevaluate the way you manage your money. Because you need to because everybody, that's part of being part of being an adult is knowing how to do that. So at a certain point, like it's kind of also, it's also our fault if we are like constantly, if we're like in that position. So whether that's bad managing, bad financial, whether that's not like inefficient financial planning or not making enough money, it's a difficult place to be in, but that's part of it too. So I'm like in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, overdrawing once and getting charged a bunch of money doesn't assume that you're there all the time. But they could just not let you overdraw. They could just do that.
Well, they warn you though. Your bank will warn you when you're at a low funds point. My bank does. My bank is like anytime I have a system, there's like an option. I have a system set in play. Anytime I go under a certain amount of money, it's just like you are now under this amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on the bank and depending on the times, I mean, maybe things have improved in that bit, but I was definitely there when I was younger.
So was I.
I wasn't.
But I didn't get warnings when I was about to overdraft.
I've never been there, so maybe I'm speaking out of school, and I'm a little non-empathetic because I've just never been in a situation where I've never overdrafted before, and I've been married to an accountant since I was 19 years old. So
well,
with empathy, even if you're not in the situation, just imagine, I don't know, a situation where you have like an emergency or something, and you really need to get something or whatever.
Yeah, but I think you're speaking to sympathy.
No. Sympathy is you feel sorry for someone. Empathy is you can feel what they feel.
Well, again, I can't feel what they feel not having been in the situation.
We empathize with people all the time.
I sympathize with people all the time.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what empathy means. It doesn't mean that you have to have been in their shoes.
Yeah, I can only empathize with people whose situations I have an understanding of intimately. I sympathize with those that I can't.
Well, I'm okay. that is different.
Go on.
And that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. The banks suck. Credit's worse.
Well, speaking of credit, I heard that they want to allow you to include your Netflix payments as part of your credit.
I don't know what that means.
Really?
So with your credit, you got to prove that you're worthy of like lending money to or being put in a situation where you're gonna have
Oh
someone.
yeah, to establish credit. To even establish credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess to establish or also to improve, right? Over time, you keep making payments on time.
So this is a good thing.
Yeah.
On one hand, because it allows people access to credit without having to go pay for jewelry or something dumb.
No, I think it's good. I'm just like, okay, what about rent? I've been out here spending tens upon tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of dollars, and that shit isn't going to establish or build my credit. Like, that's crazy. Hell yeah, it should.
No, I mean
That's
it
what I'm
should.
saying.
Like, have you tried to use?
Everyone
Most banks that want to give you credit just want a history of paying something.
No. Everyone knows rent does not go towards. That's why I'm very surprised that this Netflix thing is a thing. No, everyone knows that rent does not, unfortunately, go towards building credit. Either does cell phone bills. I've had the same telephone number since like the 90s, the late 90s, and I've been paying my shit on time. Shit doesn't go towards building my credit.
Yeah, it's a different thing. I think it's probably because with things like that, the vast majority of people know they have to pay those things on time, because if they don't, there's like a very vital service that they will soon lose. So I think with credit,
you give people too much. You give people too much credit. Pun intended. Do you know how many people lose use of their utilities every single day
for non-payment?
Hell yeah.
Well,
all the time.
Well, in that case, isn't it a good thing that they don't get credit detracted from that because of it?
We're talking about detractions versus. I mean,
because if we're thinking about
at that point, you're screwed. At that point, you're screwed anyway. You're probably not.
We're talking about credit, like, right? You're asking for somebody to put money behind you with no collateral. It's essentially what you're asking them to do.
You want to just rent an apartment.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm talking about credit. I'm not talking about utilities. I'm just talking about credit.
Yeah, but you need
the basis by which will let you get credit.
Yeah, but you need good credit to rent an apartment.
Well,
especially in New York City,
depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because many apartments would just take people with, a check from downtown.
Yeah, well, that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
You know what I mean? And a lot of landlords are looking for people because they know they're going to get their money.
Yeah.
Whereas, someone who isn't on, some sort of government assistance, there's really no guarantee, no matter how good your credit is.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
So,
when I was looking for people, I ran into that. People were like questioning why I wouldn't take, some kind of government, blah blah blah. But my landlord is another story. We won't get into that.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, what we're talking about, and you're never going to hear me speak on behalf of credit card companies and creditors, because obviously that was the biggest scam, at least in American economics, to hit American economics. You know what I mean? Was trade in your gold for this promissory note. You know what I mean? trade in a thing of real value for this piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like that, just which led to, obviously banking and all that. But that the scam behind that is like, I'll never support it. But ultimately, this is another thing I'm going to say. People know what they're signing up for. Like you
Do they
kind of
though?
know.
Do
Well,
they?
yeah,
Without a
yeah.
lawyer? Without a
I
lawyer
mean,
by their side
it's
to read
this is
the fine
simple. This
point
is
of the.
this is simple math.
Is it simple though?
I am giving you money that you do not have.
So
You have to pay me back, and you have to pay me back at an interest rate.
So you think the average person understands compound interest and like
The average person understands that they're spending money that is not in their pocket, that doesn't belong to them. That's the
right,
reason
but
why they apply for credit.
they don't often understand the extent to which they're going to be screwed for
Which
not
they
paying on
may
time.
be screwing themselves.
Yeah, well, banks
know
are doing very well off of people screwing themselves. It's very funny how it's always people's fault, and then the banks always get rich.
People aren't blameless.
I'm not saying they're blameless.
Well,
I'm just
then
saying
when you say
that,
it's funny how it's always people's fault, I never said that. I'm just speaking to them not being blameless.
Yeah, but it's the amount for me. It's the amount of blame.
I mean, I didn't put an amount on it. I'm saying they're not blameless. Like you participated. Credit card companies, the credit system could not be successful if people didn't participate in it.
These motherfuckers go to colleges and prey on people who some of them are not even 18 yet. And then they come with free sweatshirts and hot chocolate. Half of these kids get
you know what my answer was? No.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine what you did. Not everyone was you. Not everyone was you.
Not everyone, and there are plenty of people who said no, though.
My point is, for the people who said yes, they were preyed upon.
Oh my, really?
Yes,
they were preyed upon.
Why do you think? Yeah, why do you think they went up there to the colleges with
these people get
sweatshirts
absolved of a lot of blame?
I didn't absolve them of anything. I said they were preyed
when you say
upon.
They're preyed upon,
yeah,
there's a mechanism here, right? Like, okay, they got preyed upon and they signed up and got approved for credit. Then they proactively used it.
Look, I'm not saying they're free of guilt. I'm saying that the credit card companies know what they're doing and that they're going to take advantage.
But you're also implying that these people don't know what they're doing.
I don't need to imply anything. If I'm going to say it, I'm going to come out and say it. There's no implications.
I didn't say that you needed to or not. I'm just telling you what you're doing.
No, I'm telling you that I'm not.
Yeah, but you did. You said, you actually said early on, you said, excuse me, before you said that people were being preyed upon by credit card companies, you accused me of, not necessarily accused me, but said that I'm putting a lot of blame on the people. As if to say they're not, and obviously we're not saying they're blameless, but it kind of implies that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't need any implications.
Victims.
I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
Okay, well, I'm also saying that
there's
it's
no
implying
subtext, there's no anything.
Okay.
They are preying upon people.
People know what they're doing.
Definitely.
So you're not saying. So you are saying that people
accepting this shit, but I still know I was preyed upon, and that's that.
And you also know what you were doing.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
You know what you're doing when you use credit.
Let's move on. We're going in circles here.
No, I'm asking a question.
We're not going anywhere here. Let's just move on.
Are you serious?
Look,
you're just going to dismiss my question. I'm listening to you and what you have to say, but when I want to say something, let's move on. Okay, that's how we will proceed. No, let's move on. Let's move on, Mike. Let's move on, man. We're not going anywhere. Let's move on.
No, what's your question?
We're not going anywhere, man. Let's move on. We're good. Let's move on.
No, we're not good. Don't.
We
don't
are
do
good.
That. No, don't
what
do
you
that.
mean?
What's your question?
You just did it, dude.
What's your question?
Man. I'm good, man. We can move on. We can move on. I'm good. I'm not doing it. I'm good. We can move on. We can move on, bro. We're good. I am good, Mike.
Sam, why don't you jump in here?
Okay. I feel like there's hurt feelings here.
No, there really isn't.
No, we're actually good. This is actually better than we've done in a while. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to hear. Oh, good. Me and my social worker adjacent training.
yeah, this is good. You're good at this.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean,
Thank
last
you.
time I think was literally like might have been miraculous. Like you literally, I think, brought us to a breakthrough. If you had a social worker
we're
show,
we're like on Falcon and Winter Soldier where we're sitting.
I can't. I'm not. I can't. I can't. I did not go to work school, so unfortunately,
Did you see the episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier where he made the Winter Soldier? She made them sit in the room and look at each other, and like put their legs in between each other's legs.
Wait, which episode was that? Wait,
it was like episode 2.
Okay, yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, that's
where she sat them down and then made them look at each other and like get closer, and they had to like put their legs in between each other's legs.
Yeah.
What is this? What show is this?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's Sam. He's like,
have you seen that, Sam?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Sam's gonna be like, Ish, I need you to pick up your phone and I need you to look at Mike. Flav, I need you to look at it.
I don't even know what I was supposed to be doing just there. I'm gonna tell you to pick up your phone and look at what?
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say, I wish we were recording.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because while Sam, you kind of feel uncomfortable, these are like awesome moments for me and Flav.
I'm going to say this
issue.
one.
I do. No, it is my issue that I sometimes, like, I have this need to like de-escalate shit. But that's my issue because conflict sometimes just needs to happen, and when it's worked through properly, it ends up being good. I'm just the one who's like afraid of like, just because I'm it's just insane because like I'm skinny. I'm like if shit breaks out, I gotta go hide under a table somewhere. So I have to
skinny too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ish will teach you how the skinny dudes can put you in a chokehold.
Nice.
Those skinny arms around your neck can really fuck you up.
I know they're all bony and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I want to broach a subject that I've been avoiding, but has been falling in my lap.
Okay.
And I've been avoiding it, and obviously we have Sam on. So, Sam, like,
oh no.
Let's kick it about this, the Israel-Palestine stuff that everybody seems to be up in arms about.
No. Oh,
what just broke? You made him break something.
I've been removed from it, and I've been kind of not going. I'm sorry.
I dropped my spoon. It's so funny. The last time we were all chatting, when you brought Israel up, but like not in the context of what was happening, I was like the entire week I was like, oh my god, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. Please.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like,
yeah. We don't. I didn't even know. Literally, I've been removed, and sometimes I feel guilty, and I refuse to kind of weigh in on it, and that makes me feel a certain way too. Like,
that's
should
okay.
I?
Listen, I'm used to people wanting to ask me about this. It's not a big deal. I'm just used. I mean, so it's fine. I'm used to that. Though then I have to remind people. Then I have to remind people when people try to pull the whole, like, it's Israel. It has nothing to do with being Jewish. And then I'm just like, yeah, but you wanted my opinion specifically because I am. So what is it?
Right. You can't have it both ways, right?
Like, seriously, what are we doing here? Like, so
yeah.
So see, why are you coming to me and asking me this? If you want to say, oh, it's not. This has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. I'm like,
I just want to be clear. For me, I'm in a position when I ask you, I just want to listen.
Yeah.
Like I don't have,
cool.
you know what I mean? Like I don't have a position or a, you know what I mean? Like I really don't. And so I feel like I'm out of my depth. Like, and I told somebody this when they were talking about it earlier today, and I'm not going to get into the conversation. It was like very negative. They brought it to me. It was very negative. I'm like, listen, I said, this is a situation where I feel guilty as a Black person because I often ask people to understand where I am coming from. And I don't know how to I don't know where to. I don't. I just there's things I just don't know, and I'm unequipped. So I'm
Okay.
like the best thing that I can do is just ask and listen, and I'm not gonna be critical or anything. You know, I have no opinion. You know what I mean? Should I have an opinion? I don't even know. So the only thing I can do is speak to my brothers that are Jewish
Yeah.
and just be educated.
All right, so I know this is a safe space, so I know that I can like open up about this. I know this is fine.
I'm just gonna grab some blackberries. I don't want you to think I'm leaving while you're opening up, so I'll be
Oh, that's
right
okay.
back.
No, I appreciate that. I do. Go ahead and get your blackberries. Well, listen. Better this happened now because last week it was so raw, and I was just like really on it. Like, and honestly, here probably would have been a safe place to talk about it, but you never like seriously. This is just one of those things that like everyone has like the most passionate opinion about it, so it's almost impossible to have a cool conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm just one of those people that's just going to like my opinion on this is just going to piss most people off. So I'm still confident that I'm right. But for some reason this issue is more explosive. Let me put my chocolate ice cream away. Hang on. This issue.
I was eating French vanilla.
Yeah. Actually, generally speaking, my favorite flavor is usually vanilla fudge because the black and white are together, but they didn't have that this time. So
I don't normally eat French vanilla, but I had a hot apple pastry.
Oh, cool.
That my daughter made. So what better way to accompany it than French vanilla ice cream?
Oh, awesome. I like cherry vanilla too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that with sugar cookies.
Ice cream, yeah, ice cream is just good in general. I like it with blackberries actually. So I like to mix like fruit with ice cream.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to take sugar cookies and put like cherry vanilla on top.
I'm back like Stretch Cadillacs. I did not stop recording, just so you know.
I hear you. All right. So obviously last week was very, very upsetting. For me, for a lot of people lost their lives. This is really, this is very, very, this is just like, it's really upsetting for me because I'm a big, like, I love Israel, and I feel so grateful that it exists. The thing is, it's really hard for me to talk about this because everyone is so coming down on one side or the other, and honestly, at this present time, like both sides are really responsible for this mess, and in my opinion, and it's really, really hard to have a measured conversation about this topic because virtually almost everyone I know feels that it's either one side's fault or the other, and have all sorts of reasons.
Can I ask you a question about that really quickly?
Okay.
Because from my perspective and for the purpose of this conversation and it being a safe space, my concern certainly isn't with people who aren't on one side or the other, i.e. Jewish or Palestinian, right? So when you say everyone you know, are you meaning everyone you know, even non-Jewish or Palestinian people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not just talking about Jewish people. I have friends that aren't Jews.
Now, so that must bother you. right? Like when people who are kind of removed from it, either ethnically or what have you, that kind of have an opinion one way or another.
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, this is a human rights issue, and if you're a human being, like, it
Okay.
doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, just because you weren't born into something, doesn't mean that you can't have opinion or care about it. Like, the fact that that we're born who we are, that's just like a stroke of luck. Our souls could have like gone into anybody. So,
Yeah, but I find sometimes that the slope can get slippery, even though it's a human rights issue. Just speaking as like a Black person that has a specific plight, and sometimes I hear people weigh in with opinions, and I try to remove myself from adding emotion to, you know what I mean? But some of the opinions,
yeah.
certain conservative opinions are very off-putting. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I find it really, really. I find it really, really well, especially lately, because a lot of people I find are they're conflating like the struggles over there with the struggles here, as if like
Right.
as if it is like the exact same set of circumstances.
Yeah, people find themselves comparing oppressions and what have you.
Yeah, and I think, right, and I think that it's, because I don't think that, I mean, because honestly, like, if you want to, I mean, I think I personally feel like it's disingenuous, but a lot of people don't, but a lot of people really believe that stuff, really believe it. I'm really going to just go with like what I see is happening over there. I can't compare it. I mean, atrocities are atrocities everywhere, but it's specific. So I don't want to compare it to anything else right this second, unless you really want to go there and be like, conflating like the struggles of African Americans with Palestinians. I think they are two extremely different set of circumstances and extremely different sets of history. And I think you need to be as objective as possible.
Yep.
And I also
agree 100%.
Yeah. And I've marched in a lot of Black Lives Matter rallies proudly, and will do so again. But it really frustrates me when I see the Palestinian flag waved around there, because I could easily just be like, hey, you know what? Here's a bunch of civil rights icons who were actually like Zionists, and then just like go down the list. So that's why I don't really think I don't really put too much stock in saying like, this person believed this, therefore it was the right thing. That's the right thing to believe, because you can use that for almost anything as like a way to back it up. And I really think it should just be about the history of like what's happening, not somebody's opinion of it. And it's really, this is hard for me. I mean, Netanyahu was terrible, and he made things so much worse for everybody over there, and he bears a lot of responsibility for what is going on right now. But at the same time,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I missed a bunch, but go on.
Oh, I said, okay.
My phone rang, and it always interrupts the Zoom when my phone rings.
Oh, okay.
I need to figure out how to set my phone to do not disturb, because you can do that when you're live streaming.
Yeah. What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were talking about the last thing you said was mentioning people who marched, and how because people who marched said a thing or another, that was their position.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, no. Like, for instance, like, yeah, seeing the Palestinian flag at a Black Lives Matter rally. And I could respond to that by saying, by pointing out like, 10 or 12 like civil rights icons who were pro-Israel. So I think it's more about judging, like actually knowing the history than it is about value, like attaching an opinion to a movement or a person that, while they may be very important and passionate and learned, it's like that in and of itself in a different situation isn't necessarily going to explain like what it really is. Like, just because somebody said, oh,
I'm on this side, and they're like and they're someone worthy of and they're like, they're a revered person. That doesn't mean that they're right that time. So
Right.
Okay.
That's an excellent point.
Thank you. So when it comes to this, I personally feel Netanyahu should never have been prime minister. I feel like he has made things so much worse over there and is really a lot responsible for what is happening today. And he has a lot of the brunt to blame to that. On the other hand, Palestinian leaders have been openly calling for the destruction of Israel since well before he got into office. So the problem is that you have two different sets of peoples with two different sets of backgrounds who actually both have legitimate claims to the land. And they need to, there needs to be some sort of way for them to get along. Because there's really there is a need like for a Jewish state in the Jewish homeland, and I mean the fact that I like that and what I just said is like a controversial statement, but I don't even see why it would be, because because we've been ethnically cleansed out of most of the world, and it's we're not less deserving of respect. It should be about like human beings are human beings. We're not either you think we deserve to be treated equally or you don't, and that's why it's there. I've distanced myself from like the Zionist movement lately simply because of I've learned more and more about its origins, and I'm I find it to be a very conflicted group of people. But I still believe that Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state. And I think that the history of it is so complex, but right now it's just boiling down to two groups of people who have become so hardened and set in their ways that they will tensions are always at a boiling point, and they both need to just sit down and realize that they're both allowed to be there. And
so what do you think makes it so hard for them to coexist?
Well, currently, religious supremacy on both sides, I think, is like the biggest part of it. But the creation of the state itself is also a point of controversy. Although it kind of makes me laugh that opponents of it claim that it was such a violent birth, because it kind of was. But it's also, to my knowledge, one of the least violent births of a country I can think of as well, because it was actually created under the cooperation of like the international community. And it's hard to imagine any other country that I can think of where it wasn't just like a whole bunch of people slaughtering like other people and being like, okay, this is our country now. Like this is a country that was created with political pressure, but it was a resolution voted on by the United Nations. So and Yeah, I mean, all right, the timer is less than 5 minutes. I really appreciate you giving me the space to do this. All right, fine. I'm gonna try and go on. I just don't want to get cut off. There's a lot of complex history here. Frankly, a lot of it is due to the Arab world not wanting a Jewish state there. Much of the Middle East was created by Islamic colonialism. So, the existence of a Jewish state in its homeland is kind of a rebuttal to that, despite the fact that it's only one. It's about the size of New Jersey, and there's over 30 countries under Muslim rule. But but despite all of that, that still doesn't address the fact that there were still people living there when the partition was created, and a lot of them lost their homes. And that's really sad. And the descendants of those people are still mostly living there under deplorable conditions. So I find it really, really puzzling that a lot of other countries have not taken them in.
Hey, I wanted to address that. I don't want to cut into your time, but I just hadn't spoken in a while. But hearing you talk about the conditions that the people are in, and hearing Ish agree that it's difficult to hear people compare oppressions with other oppressions. That a lot of the terms that I hear used about the conditions that the people are in is like an apartheid type condition, where people are like you said, living in deplorable conditions, and being that Israel is kind of like the United States. They're like, they're a superpower. So the people living in those conditions are kind of seen as like powerless and like not really able to do anything. It's interesting. I've never really heard about the recommendation that the international community, take people in or what have you. I've never thought about that. But yeah, I don't know what the other thing that people are trying to do is like, as far as like give them their own land over there or what have you. But
yeah, but isn't it interesting though? Like when people get displaced and they become refugees, isn't that what usually happens? Like, they flee wherever they were from, and then other countries, well, if they're humane, try to take them in, or like that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think yeah, I don't know why that hasn't happened. I mean, perhaps people just want to, they want to stay where they feel their home is. But yeah, I don't know why the international community.
Well, I feel like if I had to merit a guess, certainly in the Arab world, I think, and I don't want to weigh in on one side or another. I think in the Arab world, I think there's this political sense that Jewish people are bad, so we're not going to take in the Palestinians, because I kind of think they want this to continue.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Jewish people are bad. I think that is like the sentiment, and like that the Middle East over there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like Israel has a lot of enemies since its inception throughout their history, in the Middle East. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that there's this political sentiment where it's like, well, yeah, because like, why wouldn't any of these, world powers in the Middle East take in the Palestinians, right?
Yeah,
like, why haven't they stepped up to the plate?
Yeah, especially from other countries that have